Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. Well, at least it's Tuesday night for me. It's your girl D Green 2.0 and welcome back to my channel. We are here to talk about the episode, Episode 11 of season 17 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. And as I stated when I did the recap of 9 and 10, I was going to get episode 11 out so that we can get back on our regular schedule, okay? All right, before we get into everything, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell in the event you want to be notified whenever I upload a video. And like I always do, I'm going to speak it into existence. Hype your girl up, okay? Okay. All right. Now, since I am, it's close to my bedtime and I took my Unisom and melatonin about 5 minutes ago, I got about a good maybe 30 minutes before I start talking nonsense, and it's 11:40 and I gotta get to bed, so let's get to it, okay? All right, so the name of this episode, Shady Text and Bigger Regrets. All right, so the episode started out at Cynthia's house. Sorry y'all, I had a workout and I'm like still thirsty because I sat in the sauna, but anywho, episode started at Cynthia's house. You had Shamia going over to Cynthia's house. She's hosting because Cynthia wanted to actually talk to Shamia about some behavior she's noticed, because she says Shamia is typically a fun time girl and she just notices that Shamia is just not herself, right? So upon walking in, Shamia comments, like everyone says, how calm, she makes a comment about how calm and peaceful Cynthia's home is. I not only think that is the house itself, but I believe it's got something to do with the surroundings, as well as Cynthia, because Cynthia can be rather peaceful. So, you know, when you're peaceful within, that's how your energy emits in your home, okay? All right, so Cynthia asks Shamia, because she wants to get the elephant out of the room, what was up with the guest list for her husband's birthday party, because she noticed that Angela, Drew, and Portia were not invited. Regarding Portia, she did point out, Cynthia, to Shamia, how Portia invited Shamia to her party, you know, the party that she had episode 1, A Warm Welcome. And Shamia was just straight up and said, you know, I got some nasty text messages from her after the reunion and she went after my marriage, and quite frankly, I just didn't want to deal with it. I'm tired of being fake, because, you know, basically she's going after something that's sacred. And at first I was kind of like, you know what, Shamia, I mean, you just, I hear you, but I'm like, But then she said this, and I understood this. She said, when I'm away from my family, you know, I got my job, I got this life, but when I'm away from my family and I'm choosing to surround myself around people, I want to make sure that I'm around people I can have fun with. So that explains a lot as to why Shamia is just so bubbly and no, shot o'clock. Because her life is, while it's good with her husband, it is heavy. You know, she's got a child that's got special needs, and she's got this looming issue over her marriage with her and her husband because he wants to have a son. So, you know, Shamia she tries to be light because she's dealing with a lot. So I was able to understand her in that respect. But yeah, she's just basically saying her time is precious when she's away from her family. And so Cynthia then said to her, that's not like you. So I think what's going on is everything that you're dealing with. Oh, sorry, my mouth is dry. Let me take a sip. So she said, everything that you're dealing with, you know, with your husband and everything that's going on with your life, you're taking it out and putting that on the girls. Part of that could be true, meaning the reaction could be magnified, but we're not going to put it solely on Shamia, because like I said in the last episode, at the very end, I don't feel like Shamia was trying to bring combative energy. I feel like Kay fueled that, and Drew in turn fueled it because she went on the defense. So I will say it does seem like there is a concerted effort on some of the housewives to dump a lot of stuff on Shamia. It does seem that way, because I don't know, maybe we're missing something, but Shamia can't be all that bad, right? It's like, God, lie. Good gracious. All right, so next scene, we get Pinky and Kay. So Pinky and Kay are having lunch at a restaurant. I believe it was in Midtown. She walks in, Kay, and Pinky's on the phone because I guess she's on the phone with the bank. $9,000 left her personal account. Kay's like, well, how did that happen? It's because she had to pay some pay for some food at her restaurant, or maybe for the event that she had later. I don't know. But anywho, so she was talking about how the season that she's going through, which is a lot of turmoil, she feels like God is taking her through this because she's had a lot of wins. Now, I do believe that. I believe in the rhythm of rest. I believe in trials and tribulations, and they turn into triumphs. I do believe that there is a cycle of struggle that you are to go through, and it's more like a test so that you can appreciate the outcome once you come out on the other side. 2025 was that year for me. So when she said that, I was like, she is so right. God will. And I hate when people try to say, that's not how God works. God don't want you to suffer. No, it's not about suffering. Okay, it's a point of view. It's not about God making you suffer. God throws challenges to his strongest warriors, right? And it's like they say, you know, the higher the blessings, the bigger the challenges, right? The bigger the challenges of the kingdom. So it's kind of like a video game level, right? That's how I look at it. The more struggle you go through, the higher you elevate in life, and you've got more lessons and stories that you can pass on to other people. So I definitely agree with Pinky when she said that. You know, she's had a lot of wins, so she just had to have a little bit of a struggle. So, side note, I like Pinky. I really hope she comes back next season, but I don't know. Part of me thinks she might not come back because I also see how Pinky is very business and she's no mess. And she seems to be utilizing this platform to, you know, kind of walk her out of all of this stuff she's got going on with her business, as well as opening herself up to other avenues. So, but it would be nice to see her come back. But I would totally understand if she didn't come back because Pinky is different. She's different, and different in a good way. But anywho, so they're talking about that, and you know, she was talking about how she doesn't want her husband to bail her out because she wants to be a warrior. He met her independent. She wants to remain independent. Totally understand that, but if you have a partner, why put yourself through that? So I don't agree with her on that, but I definitely understand where she's coming from when it comes down to being a strong, independent woman, because at the end of the day, when you know you can count on yourself, no one else, or you have to count on yourself, no one else can disappoint you. But again, if you choose to get married, you kind of have to forfeit that. So it'll work itself out. I mean, we got to remember their relationship is relatively young. Like, they're still under 10 years, so they'll get to that point. But anywho, so they were talking about Drew, K. Michelle, and Pinky at the table because now Drew is leaving a bad taste in both of their mouth. Drew leaving a bad taste in Pinky's mouth on how she handled the audition. And then you already know what's going on with her and K. Michelle. So with what happened at the audition, they're looking at Drew like, oh, she's just as arrogant. I'm sorry, y'all. I got the window open because it's raining here, and I like fresh air. I don't always like to run artificial air, and it's about, let me see how many degrees. It's 68 degrees outside, so a natural cool breeze. So I'm sorry if you hear the siren. Let's let it pass. All right, it's gone. So anywho, Drew. So they talk about Drew and like the event that she just had, and Kay makes the comment like life is bigger than the national anthem or whatever, and then Pinky's like, well, when you do good, good comes to you. And I was confused as to why she said that, and then I thought, well, maybe, you know, because they edit stuff, maybe there was a point in their conversation where they were discussing how arrogant Drew is coming off, and that's not to diss Rich Homie Quan's event, but that's probably, they're like, she's acting like she's performing at a large event and she's performing at an event in the park. So, you know, life is bigger than national anthem. And I think that's what they meant. And then Pinky made the comment, yeah, cruise ships, meaning Drew is, I guess, only good enough to sing on cruise ships. I don't know, Drew, you kind of bringing all this on yourself. So all is fair in love and war, right? So, Kay, and side note, I did not listen to Carlos King's interview with Shamia, but I have heard the highlight snippets of Shamia speaking on how K. Michelle misinterpreted or mistold or misconstrued the events that she was talking to Pinky about in tonight's episode. So in tonight's episode, Kay says that after that scene with Drew and her when they left, they went somewhere. They went to a club or whatever afterwards. And Shamia's mother met them there. And she said, Kay, when Shamia's mother came in, she had her breasts pushed all the way up. And she prayed with Kay for about an hour in the club. And she had never seen a mother like that. And Shamia said in Carlos's interview that that can't be further from the truth. In fact, she actually showed Carlos a photo of them and the time step and everything, because Kay said it was 2 a.m. Apparently it was midnight, and Shamia's mother did not have her breast pulled up. So she also mentioned Kay in this scene to Pinky, how Shamia told her, and Shamia spoke about this as well on Carlos's interview. Shamia told her, my friends tell me I shouldn't be your friend, so in turn you need to be a really good friend to me. And so Kay said that that night after she said that, she went to her car and cried, because she's like, I've had your back endlessly. And then I started thinking, like, what do you mean by that? Had her back? Like, you always have her back. Are you the one that, you know, she's gassing you up to do all this shit? Because now it's starting to make sense. But in Carlos's interview, Shamia said that's not true. She says she's not as close to Toya and Rashida, who happen to have the biggest issue with K. Michelle. If you're not familiar, back in the day, K. Michelle was on a show called Love and Hip Hop, and she got into a huge beef with a lady on the show named Rashida. It went on for as long as Kay was on that show with her, and she made that song about her and her husband. It was pretty funny. And the reason they fell out is because Kay said that she was in an abusive relationship with Rashida's friend, Toya Bush. I think is it Toya Bush Harris, Lil Wayne's baby mama. And according to Toya's relationship with the guy Kay accused of domestic abuse, the domestic abuse did not happen. So Kay got offended because Rashida called her out. Well, of course, Toya's going to have an issue with that because you're speaking on her then husband. But yeah, so that explains why they have a beef to this day. And so Kay said in the confessional, she's not concerned about Shamia's candy-coated clique. And that's what it was. It was Candy. It wasn't Rashida or anything. It was Candy, I guess, that has the issue with Kay, because she's loyal to Rashida, because Candy is friends with Rashida, I think, since high school. So they're all clicked up. I'm going to try to be as graceful as I can when I say this, but given everything and how it's being presented to us, it's not looking too good for Kay. And even down to I'm not going to doubt that she did endure abuse, but I can honestly see now, I'm not discounting the victim's statements, but the track record and what's going on currently today, it does. And even Kay's husband said, would anybody else see it the way that you see it, when he spoke on the way Kay told the dramatic events that happened. I think it was back in Dallas or whatever. Anywho, basically Kay is looking more like she's not credible. And she is looking a little nutty. And I hate that for her, because like I said, I rooted for Kay. I still want to root for her, but I don't know. I don't like what I'm hearing. I would be lying to myself if I didn't acknowledge what I'm seeing about Kay. So let's just hope this turns around for the season. But anywho, so they were talking about that, and Kay said she got upset. And yeah, that was the end of that scene, because I've already spent a little bit too much time on that. I'm already almost 15 minutes in, and we're still on just the second scene of the episode, and I got 8 more to go. So next scene is Portia at her house. Now she has a chef over at the house that is prepared. I believe it was jerk chicken, or no, oxtails, rice, and lamb chops. And Mike, that sexy ass. That man is juicy. And he's big. I like a big dude. My ex was 6'9" and 350 pounds. I love mountain men. And my late husband was 6'5". Like, I just, in those arms, and I'm like, ooh. Anyway, Mike is cute. I'll just say that. So they're at the house. They're eating. The chef is there. He leaves them to, discuss. Apparently, this is around the time Portia was at CultureCon. And at CultureCon, she announced that she was dating both a man and a woman. So in this scene, they were talking about love languages because Mike was just so in love with the food. He said, this is my love language. And he was like, I know what your love language is. You like safety. You like to feel safe. And she's like, and I like communication too. He's like, you sure about that? Because he said he had heard some things that he didn't like. And because it got out what she said at CultureCon. And, they're just talking about the state of their relationship and if they're really going to move forward. I had actually heard, I don't know if this is true, but I do watch them to look for it. I'm going to shout you out, Sherelle's World. But I listened to, she did a video about roughly 2 or so months ago when the season first started. And she said that Portia actually likes Mike. Sherelle said this. Portia actually likes Mike more, but she cannot get serious with Mike because Mike does not have the money that Portia requires to be in a relationship. So she keeps it at a distance, but between Sway and Mike, it's actually Mike that Portia likes. So when I heard that on her video, when I'm looking at them in the scene, I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't see the chemistry. I feel like this is forced. I feel like they're friends. I'm looking and I'm like, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Stranger things can happen or have happened. So, yeah, he disagrees with her. He says communication is not her thing because he didn't like how that was brought out. So next scene, we get Kelly and Shamia. It's mainly Kelly's scene, but Shamia does make a cameo later in the scene because it's moving day for Kelly. Kelly is moving out of her place. I'm not sure exactly where it's located, but I do remember hearing this vaguely last year about some drama at her place. I don't know if it was like HOA or just the neighbors just didn't like all of the, all the camera crew and all production there. So they would give Kelly the blues and just give Kelly hell. I didn't read what was said in the blogs or under a post, but apparently there was some sort of post about, I think Kelly said her daughter, and the neighbor commented under there. So it started to become a little bit like harassment, and that is a problem. Why are you harassing children? But again, I don't know. I mean, we don't know this lady, so we're only hearing Kelly's version of the story. But bottom line is Kelly wants to move. What I'm thinking is Kelly's just being financially smart. Maybe that place was very expensive and, she just took it upon herself to do what was best for her and her kids because she's drowning financially with the divorce in this restaurant. But apparently it's because of the neighbor. But anywho, so she's packing. They're moving out. Go over to a townhouse and it's Shamia at the door. So she's actually going to rent the townhouse owned by Shamia and her husband. Shamia says she purchased this property early in her marriage, so it was one of the first investment property that she purchased, which tells me she has multiple. That's pretty smart. If you're gonna move here, I mean, real estate is going up, but if you're gonna move to Atlanta and you got a little money, yes, I would suggest you invest in some real estate because real estate here is affordable. So, smart move, Shamia. But anyway, so Kelly goes there. She's getting settled. And that was the end of that scene. So next scene, we have Angela. She goes to the park with her brother who's visiting from Chicago. Lawrence is his name. And I was listening to him speak, and I heard that draw. There's a certain way Chicagoans speak because I grew up there. And I used to have a really strong Chicago accent before I moved to Georgia. I was in California for 17 years. So being in California, going to college and then working in corporate America, that accent just drowned itself out. But every now and then you'll hear that twang. So for example, Chicagoans don't say car, they say car. It's like a mixture of like Boston and Louisiana dialect. Anywho, it's a cute accent. You just gotta know what I'm talking about. You gotta go visit. So she's at the park with her brother, and they have not seen each other since Angela's mother passed away. So that scene, I believe, was filmed in, I want to say October of 2025. And I believe Angela's mother died a year prior to that. So this is a full circle, not full circle, but this is a full year after the passing of her mother. So they're talking about how the family, you know, has been dealing with it. And Angela, my heart went out to her because I as someone that is, if you've listened to some of my videos in the past, you know that grief is very fresh for me. I have suffered a lot of loss over the last 3 years, but I'm starting to get lighter. But when I'm listening to Angela, she's taking me back to a place where I totally get it, where she said the grief comes in waves. There's days where she's not even thinking about her mother, and then out of nowhere, she'll just cry all day. That was me, and it's real. And the sad part is you, as much as you want to try to control it, you have to allow yourself to go through it in order for you to really get to the other side. Same thing like I was saying earlier with Pinky. That's part of what I meant. You know, sometimes we really try to force ourselves and will ourselves to be strong, but God has given us a rhythm of rest, right? It's like, no, be weak. Trust in me and just do what you need to do to feel it. Just don't sit in it, but I want you to feel this so that you can be able to talk about it later. So anyhow, Angela, my heart was going out to her when she was talking about how she's been mourning her mother. So he starts asking her about the kids, because Angela has 3 kids. Her oldest, I think her name is Amari. Apparently she didn't take it the best. She actually took it worse than the other kids. The little kids, they, you know, her daughter, she says she's having to adjust to her grandmother not being there because her grandmother lived with them and she would always see her on the sofa. So now she has to adjust to not seeing her. That's tough. Angela says her son, they don't really show him a lot, but I think he's somewhere between 11 and 13. She says that he doesn't really show his emotions, but he's having a hard time with it. But apparently Amari's not dealing with it the best. So then her brother asks her, I forgot what her daughter is married to a woman. I forgot her wife's name, but he asked how her wife was supporting her. And I don't know, Angela. I was like, I mean, again, it's edited, so it could have been edited to look this way. But the way Angela answered, it's almost like she still hasn't accepted that her daughter is married to a woman. Because her brother asked her if the younger kids knew about her daughter being married and being married to a woman. And Angela's like, well, it's not my place to tell them, you know, Amari needs to share that. But the way she was speaking on it, I picked up a tone as if this is something that's not fully accepted. Because I've lived enough life to know if the soul and the heart is open, if the energy is open, you don't have barriers surrounding the topic. And I felt those barriers coming out surrounding the topic. So Angela, please don't be homophobic, because if you're homophobic, that's where I draw the line with you. I'm good on you, because you guys know I'm a part of the community, okay? And I'm just, especially I'm also a part of the African American community. I cannot stand that there is so much dysfunction. Now I'm going on a soapbox, but there is so much dysfunction in our community. We've got drunkenness. We've got cheating. You got this damn Young Miami song out here telling people to scam and spend. And people singing that like it's a fucking lullaby. There's just a lot of stuff that we deal with in our community. And it just kills me that homosexuality is where a lot of people draw the line, that perpetuate a lot of the ignorance and the shit that we normalize in our community that shouldn't be normalized. So it triggers me when I see someone, and I get it, you can have your morals and you can believe, you know, in your whatever you want to believe in, but to condemn a population out of sheer ignorance, in my opinion, it's hypocritical because people do the same to us. So that's that on that. So Angela, I hope that's not the case because I'm gonna switch up on you real quick. All right. So at the end of it, when they're talking about that situation, her brother told Angela, and I agree with this, not that you're exposing your oldest daughter's news, that's their sister, you know, you're talking about family stuff. And it's not like it's something that's indecent. But he was saying that Angela needs to stop trying to shelter those kids because they're gonna learn, they're gonna know. Because Angela made the excuse of not telling her younger siblings that her oldest daughter is married to a woman because she's going to leave that to her oldest daughter to explain it to her. But my thing is, what is it that she has to explain? She fell in love with a woman. It's a common thing. That's all you got to do. Kids are not stupid. They're not. I tell my daughter's 10, and it's not that I'm trying to like program her, but I told her because my daughter has come home and talked to me about her friends identifying being in the LGBTQ, and my daughter's only 10 years old coming out of 5th grade. So it happens. I told my daughter, I said, I'm going to love you no matter what. Just give me a goddamn grandchild. That's all I want. I don't care about anything else. Just give me a grandchild. You can have it. She can have it if that's where you choose to go. But I would never make my child feel like it's wrong to love. So I'm just going to move on to the next thing because I think you guys get my drift on, you know, how I felt about that. So next thing we have Phaedra and Kelly. So Kelly is visiting Phaedra at her law office, which I think she changed offices. I don't remember her office looking like that. Her office didn't seem to be so high. So I think she's in a new building. But Phaedra's going to represent Kelly because Kelly's going through a divorce and, you know, the fees are racking up. She's going to file motions in contempt. Oh my God, I was playing back season 4 all over again with her and Sheree. The difference is now, though, is Phaedra has, because at the time she was married to Apollo. But since then, Phaedra has divorced Apollo, and Apollo was hell on wheels, okay? And she says she went through a very lengthy and tumultuous divorce. It was costly, so she sympathizes with Kelly. So she's actually going to represent Kelly pro bono. Shout out to you, Phaedra. That's so big of you. She says when she went to law school, the goal wasn't just to make money. It was to serve the people too. Well, she didn't say serve the people. That's what I gathered from it. But I like that. And I was like, oh my God, it is such a 180 from season 4 because she sure told Sheree, I don't file anything until I get my money. But we were also talking about Sheree. So there's that as well. Let me take my sip down. Sorry. But anywho, I love this for Kelly. Getting all this support and all this sisterhood in this episode. There really wasn't much arguing in this episode. It was a nice, refreshing episode. All right, so next scene, we have Pinky and her husband going over to the one and only Montel Jordan, Mr. Montel Jordan, who is a counselor now. I think either a pastor or a counselor, him and his wife. So Pinky and her husband, they're going there to just talk. I don't think they were having a session. They were literally just talking and maybe introducing them as their therapist to us. I don't know, but it didn't seem like it was like a formal session. It was just more like a powwow. And so Pinky, she's talking to Montel and his wife about Derek and, you know, him wanting to help Pinky get out of her financial situation and how Pinky struggles with that because while she appreciates Derek, you know, wanting to offer to help, it's one, not financially responsible because what she's meaning is the liquid cash that they do have or the assets that they do have in the form of that money, it takes away from their wealth to basically pay a debt. So I did understand when she said it's not financially responsible to have one entity of the family that's doing relatively well going the whole for another entity of the family. And then she also says that, you know, she, like she said earlier, she wants to be strong. He met her independent. What Montel Jordan's wife said, and I agree, she said, I love you, but that's pride. And she's right, because when you're in a partnership, I hear you, Pinky, but let that man partner you. Allow that man to be a partner to you. They'll work out, but I just, I don't know. I would say, no, I can't even say that, because Pinky said it in this scene. Pinky said she loves her husband. She got everything she prayed for in a partner in her husband, and she just wants to have a good marriage with him. And they have to work hard at it because they didn't have examples growing up, and that's real. Like, that's very common in a lot of households. When you grow up and you get married, but you grew up in a single parent household, like she said, you don't have examples of how to have healthy love and have healthy relationships with other people. And so when two people who did not have that come together, if you love each other, you have to fight for the relationship. So I do like that Pinky hits on some real shit when she's, talking about that. And like I said, from the beginning, I love that couple. I think they are the cutest. I love the chemistry. I love the love. I love the partnership in business. The power couple. I love it. I love it. I wish them the best. I hope that this show does not taint what they have, because it happens, right? So, at the end, he said this, because I did quote this. I thought this was cool. Montel said that the marriage makes the business. The business does not make the marriage. So, right. And then Pinky at the end, before I got back to my thought, I almost forgot. She asked Montel if he had a man cave, and he said, yeah. Girl, yes. I guess the man cave is an issue for her. Girl, men like to spread out. They do. As someone that's been married twice, both times my men had to have a space, okay? I didn't finally, I'm in an apartment now because I'm single. I date, but I'm single. It's just my space. But when I'm in a marriage, they like to have that room. They like to have that basement. They like to have a little corner. They got to have their space. That's just how they are. But hey, you know what you can do, Pinky? I can tell you some fun stuff you can do in that man cave, which you probably already have. Just catch him off guard. Make sure he ain't playing a game or doing something he likes, but just catch him off guard. And then you'll like being in that man cave. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Anyway, so we have now Portia and Phaedra. So Phaedra is picking Portia up from her house because they're going to head over to Drew's house. Drew, I guess, is going to host like a little luncheon or a little get together over there. They get there, and I think it was Angela, Cynthia, Drew, Portia, and Phaedra. So that group, because remember how I said they're all divided. So they're talking about Portia's, not Portia's. Sorry, that melatonin started kicking in. They're talking about Portia's announcement at CultureCon, and just asking her, you just came out with it or whatever. Phaedra was making some strong comments as well, saying, is it Portia that's frick or frack? I don't know, but Phaedra said in the confessional, they just want frick or frack, whatever she said, to be extra gay, holding the flag and everything. What's the issue, Phaedra? What's the issue? I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I think I don't like when I sense the homophobia, I don't like it. I don't. So anyway. So, Drew had this charcuterie board. If you know me, you know I love charcuterie boards. It was so pretty. I think it took up her whole counter, and then she had layering. She had the linens all folded up. She had the cheeses spread out nice, the crackers, the meats, the fruit. It looked nice. It was like more like artwork, which that's what a good charcuterie board is. It's something that has quality products and aesthetically is appeasing or pleasing to you. So she did a really good job with that. And then they start all talking about their respective conversations they've had with the other women in the group. So we've got Drew talking about Pinky's project because she went for the audition. And they bring up Notori, and then Phaedra comes in and it says, people say I look like Notori. Cynthia, being shady, she said, are we talking about 2026 Phaedra? Because this Phaedra with this wig and everything don't look like Notori. And then they flash back to Phaedra, and I think it was 2015 or 2017, and I can see it a little bit, but not much. Why everybody want to look like Notori? Because you short and dark skin? I don't get that. So then Angela makes a comment about Pinky, because you know she's, well, hold on, I got whiplash, because now that I'm about to say this, I thought y'all made up. Why are you still calling her Mr. Clean and making comments about her looks? I thought y'all were cool because Cynthia asked you to like try to bridge the gaps within the group. So I don't know, Angela, you be tripping me out. But she said Notori must really need the money because she looks nothing like Pinky. Pinky looks more like Mr. Clean. And I'm like, girl, stop. So then Cynthia brings up the conversation she had with Shamia at her house, and the text message, how Shamia said that she got a really nasty text message from Portia about her marriage. Portia, being smart, I will say this, I have noticed that Portia does not really comment a lot. When Shamia is brought up, she does not really say anything. So she said at the table, I'm not going to defend myself over a text that was sent in private. Mic drop. I couldn't even argue with Portia. I get it. It's like, shut the fuck up. So, before they leave, well, before the scene wraps up, because they probably didn't leave, but they were ending the scene. I don't know if this was a server or just people working at Drew's house for the day, but they bring over a cake. They brought dessert, and it was a rainbow cake. Drew says she got it for Portia because of the announcement she made. And then Portia's sly ass was like, oh, no. Let me share half of this cake with you. And then in the confessional, she was like, because we've heard about Drew and Ty. You know, we've heard about it. So, you know. And then earlier in the season, remember when they went to Drew's movie premiere and I had pointed out to y'all how Drew was being extra friendly to Ty? Not Ty, I'm sorry, to Sway. And then told Portia in the same scene, not you living my life. Yeah, when you gonna come out, Drew? When you gonna come out? Anyway. So then Portia, when they're at the table before the scene wraps up, she asks if Ralph is in the basement. She says yes. And then they start stomping. They say, let's stomp Morse code. And then they just start talking shit. It was funny. All right, so now we've got this next scene. Pinky's skate party. She's hosting an 80s skate party with her husband, Derek. They have both their food trucks outside, and they are at none only than Cascade. Side note, we have more rinks here. I actually take my daughter to Sparkles. I don't take her to Cascade, but you can't come to Atlanta and not go to Cascade because, you know, we're known for that. But if you ask me personally, Cascade is overrated. If you know the neighborhood, you know why. And so, yeah, that's that on that. But anywho, party was cute. Pinky had her slutty vegan food truck out. Derek had his Dave's famous cheesesteak out. They look cute. The chemistry, the way he was looking at her, they're laughing. He's like, are you hot under that wig? Like, he digs that she shaved her hair. Sorry, y'all. Siren. Oh, I guess while the siren's going, I can take a sip of water. I got ice. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm almost done. I'm at 39 minutes, but I only have this scene and the last scene, and then I'm gonna wrap it up in probably the next 6 minutes or so. But anywho, so he asks her if she's hot under that wig, and she's like, hell yeah, I'm hot. And just the banter they have is just very cute and playful. I like it. So they're all gathered outside. Everyone's arriving in the front. I guess that's their meeting spot they agreed upon, and you know, everyone's showing up in their 80s attire. If I had to pick my favorite looks, it would definitely be Angela. Angela looked good. That's something I would wear. Shamia looked cute. Kay, I liked Kay's look. I love denim. And I didn't realize Kay was so short. She's tiny. And then let me see. I guess Portia looked cute, but Portia always looked good. You ever know when people look so good all the time, like you can't, I mean, it becomes like the norm. So even when they dress up because they always look good, it doesn't really do anything for you. That's where I am with Portia. Because look, Portia's fine as hell. I just want to go on the record and say that. I think that is a beautiful woman because she joked about her being older, which makes it even better because she is bad. She's 44 and does not look a day over 30, probably 29. So Portia fine as hell. Let's not get that twisted. But when she dresses up, unless she does something like that deviates from her norm, even her dress up doesn't always stand out because she always looks good. Do you understand what I'm saying? Not to knock her. So even though she looked cute, her outfit didn't do it for me because I'm just so used to seeing her look good. Not that the other ladies don't, but you know what I mean. But anywho, definitely liked Angela's look. I liked Kay's look. Shamia was cute. And I guess Drew was okay. She was cute because Drew's a cute girl. But anywho, so they're all congregating in the front. And remember, this is around the anniversary of Angela's mother's death. So earlier in the scene, Drew gave Angela some flowers. Shamia sent Angela flowers. Portia presented at this event that a photo that she had framed of Angela's mother in a very nice frame. I didn't know what the brand was, but Phaedra made a comment that it's her favorite brand, so I'm going to assume it's either Chanel, Gucci, or Versace. But yeah, they were all just like in the spirit of sisterhood, showing up for Angela, showing her support, letting her know that they're there for her, and you know, they understand what she's going through. And they flash back to a scene earlier with Angela and Drew where when Drew gave Angela the flowers, she said, I know this is a hard day for you, because Drew lost her father. And she says, I'm still dealing with it too. I don't wish this on anybody, you know, and I'm here for you. Something around those ways. And so in the confessional, Angela starts getting emotional and she's crying. She's like, this is a pain I don't wish on anyone. Oh, I can imagine. By the grace of God, thank God, both my parents are still here. I don't know what's going to happen. I told my sister, I was like, I think the moment that happens, that's when I'm really going to feel abandoned. Like nobody on this earth really has my back. Because those are the two people I know, regardless of how, because I'm more of the adult with them. Even when I get on their nerves, I know they're still going to love me no matter what. So my heart goes out to you, Angela, because it was sudden too. It was like they wrapped filming and then it happened. So this is what makes us human, right? This is what makes us all connected, the pain and everything that we feel. So anywho, Portia says that the event is nice. They're all enjoying themselves once they get in there and they start skating. Shamia says the same thing. And they ended the night because they show, you know, them skating. Kay and Portia, and Phaedra, I believe, they can't skate, so they were hanging on to the guards. And I noticed this. Did y'all notice this too? Portia was pushing behind Kay, and then when Kay almost fell, Portia like grinded on her and pushed her up against the wall. It was very sexual. That wasn't no let me help you. That was a let me hump you. Anyway, so once that was finished, then the camera crew, they get outside, they show the girls out there dancing, doing their best moves, their 80s moves. Pinky was so cute. Her move, she snatched the wig off, and then Derek got behind her, was humping on her back. I'm like, y'all are so funny and so cute. And then it crossed my mind, something I noticed about Miss Pinky and her being no nonsense. Y'all ever notice how Pinky don't allow shit to go down at her events? Remember at her Slutty Vegan event, how they all started conversing about issues, but she stopped it before it escalated. And then at this event, there was no mess. Have y'all noticed that? I don't know if that's by design. I don't know if it's by accident. What I do know is Pinky is the common denominator, and I like it that she does not allow for the shit to go down at her events. Because she's like, I don't care what this is. My brand is Slutty Binging. I'm a businesswoman, and I don't want to be associated with mess exclusively. And if I am, sorry y'all, the melatonin's starting to kick in. If I am going to be associated with mess, let me control it. So, shout out to you, Pinky. Oh, now we get to this last scene with these two, Portia and Dennis. Just get back together. But I get it. I get you, Portia. I really do. So Dennis comes over to the house, this red box in his hand, with that damn scarf on his head, and that look. Dennis is not ugly, but Dennis irritates me because I understand the frustration Portia has with him. He's not innocent. He's not. He's just cool, charming, and, good, easy to get along with. But when it comes to intimacy and relationships and him showing up for Portia in a way that makes her feel secure, Dennis ain't it. He's a fuckboy. Dennis is one of those men that probably was not popular in high school and, not attractive, and then came into a little money, got a little notoriety. I'm sure being with Portia helped him elevate, and now he's thrusted onto this platform. More women know him, and so Dennis wants to have his cake and eat it too. Why I assessed it that way, that's just the feeling that I get. Because Portia did love Dennis. She did. She still does love Dennis. And I understand the pain that he caused her while she was pregnant, because that's a vulnerable state. And then you out here fucking on bitches, possibly bringing home a disease to me. And the fact that Dennis can't understand the pain behind that, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. But I was watching their interaction. Something tells me they're still smashing, because why would there be so much emotional residue if it wasn't a recent thing? So anywho, back to the scene. So he shows up. He, of course, wants to talk about the announcement she made. I guess he's feeling a certain type of way about that. He wants to say that she is moving too fast and he does not want his daughter confused. Portia's like, hold on, nobody's met her, so let's not do that. He says that she has an issue with rushing because she rushed with Simon, and he knew that was going to be a disaster, and it did turn out, them breaking up, but he kind of just fell to the wayside and let it happen because, I think it was December 2021, right? They were going to be reconciling, if I'm not mistaken, and then all of a sudden her and Simon were together. Now, yeah, whirlwind fast, I get it, but Portia, being an intentional woman, now this is where I do understand Portia. Being an intentional woman, she's a mother, she knows that she's a wife, right? And she's over here playing with you, and then you got this man that wants to show her the world and make her his wife at the same time. I mean, of course she was going to jump on that. She is serious about her life, and you're a part of it. So if you're going to be close in her life, you have to come correct. And so they're talking and shit, and they're, having their exchange, and then boom, he brings out this red box with her engagement ring in there, and Portia almost fucking lost it. She said, are you serious? Don't give this to me. Why are you giving this to me? You gave it to me twice only to bring it back. That's triggering to me. That's triggering. I don't need to see that. Leave it for Pilar. Give it to her because I have no use for it anymore. And, Portia's careful because she says that in a perfect world, she would like for her and Dennis to be together, but there's something about when they come together that brings out the toxicity in the both of them. And then they end up arguing, and she just doesn't want her daughter subjected to that. I could not agree with you more. I understand. Sometimes peace of mind is so important. It is. I've actually broken up with someone not because he cheated, not because he hit me or anything. It's because he did not understand his ways and how toxic they were and how they affected me, and in turn affected my daughter. So me and him had to break up. And when she said that, I was like, yeah, I mean, you could try to sit here and gaslight her all you want in the scene, dude. Make it seem like she's moving fast. Make it seem like she's confusing your daughter because she's dating men and women. But at the end of the day, you know what you did. You know the original sin of your relationship. And let's stop acting like that's not a problem. Because if you notice, every time they bring up anything involving them and Portia points out to him how he violated the relationship first, Dennis seems to want to shirk accountability. I have never heard him say or cop to with humility, I understand and I hurt you and I'm so sorry. I've never seen that in him. So in his mind, I think he may think he didn't do anything wrong. And then you got that trifling ass mama of his. Yes, I said it. These fucking mamas be trash. Making him feel like he's not wrong for how he acts. So if you've got someone that is a core person in your life that raised you, influenced you, reinforcing your negative behaviors, yes, you're going to think it's fine. And this is what I mean by normalize negative behaviors. So it's just a mess. It's a clusterfuck. I get why Portia got emotional. Dennis, stop with the games. If you wanted to do it, you would have done it a long time ago. You would have straightened up. You would have, no. You playing games. And then Portia got pissed, told him to leave. She started crying. When he left, she looked at the cameras. She's like, did y'all know he was going to do this? This is so triggering. And then her assistant, Lauren, who, by the way, is the same Lauren that was on Portia Family Matters. Not her sister, but the actual assistant. She was the assistant that went to on the trip with them. And she was in the van with them and all that stuff. Anywho, she went over to console Portia and hug her. And I could tell in her face, she looked shocked. She's like, oh my God. So it must have been a very, like, you know how you can feel energy, right? The energy must have been very tense in that scene. There's still a lot of emotion between the two of them. And it's like I said earlier, anybody that gets involved with them, like independently, just know that they're always going to be a part of each other's lives. And you're just going to really have to fight for your relationship with them because there's still lingering feelings. And that was the end of that episode. So, what y'all think? Was it a good episode? I thought so. All right, I did go 51 minutes. Like I said, I'm trying to get better about my time. But, you know, it is what it is. At least it's under an hour. All right, y'all. It's late. I'm going to get to bed, okay? Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. I really appreciate you for showing me support. It's your girl, D Green 2.0, and I will talk to you next week. Peace and blessings, y'all. Bye.